Welcome to Scoop World Order. We got big news. It is Wednesday. There is a lot of shakeups going on in the coaching staff right now. We're going to bring you the latest. Jeff Hafley taking off to Green Bay. Very interesting is there's another portal open with Boston College's players. Are there more moves to be made as the staffs are getting filled out in the NFL? Are more head coaches going to take off? Who's going to take that Boston College job? There's going to be more guys in the portal. We're going to get into all that. We're going to take your super chats. We appreciate you guys as always. Thank you guys so much for your patronage. Get those super chats fired up. We're going to get into a lot of stuff that's going on the coaching staff. There's some interesting news that's going on. It hasn't really been reported anywhere. We're going to get into that. And also, we're going to get some of the portal stuff going. Because I think that the way the NIL is going is at Ohio State with the foundation is getting to be unfair. And we are getting some money stockpiled for Michigan players, Boston College players. You only need one good player at one of these schools to make a big impact. So if you enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, also click that little alert bell. Those are huge for us. Again, we appreciate you guys so much. Sorry we went at 6 last night for the basketball game. We're never doing that again. So 7 o'clock every night. Here, you, us, and let's make this a great show tonight. We appreciate you guys. Nevada, interesting times in the Woody Hayes. Bill O'Brien is officially moved into his office. Corey Dennis, his stuff is packed up. He's out of his office. Some interesting things going on. I'm not sure if Corey Dennis is going to stick around for like an administrative role. That's something that a lot of people projected. I think he might have been offered something, but I think he wants to progress in his coaching career. So it's going to be really interesting to see where he lands. But at this moment, I don't believe Corey Dennis will be back in the Woody Hayes working for the program unless he can't find a better job. But your thoughts on that, and then we'll get into the James Laurinaitis projection going forward.
Yeah, well, I think with Corey, it's kind of an interesting situation in that, I think that what Ryan Day was desirous of was keeping Corey as part of the program. That scratched an itch with Urban Meyer. That kind of kept him in Columbus. That kind of kept him as part of the Ohio State family, moving to more of an administrative role. But, again, kind of honor that relationship and that, the goodwill that Urban had built up over his lifetime and his 7 great years at Ohio State. But yeah, I'm hearing as well. I don't think that's the way he wants to go. I think he really wants to be involved in coaching, and doesn't want to take what he perceives to be a step back, and that could involve a move outside of Ohio State, which kind of makes me sad, just because I like Corey and I think Corey's a terrific coach. But when I look at the staff moves that Ryan has made this year, and when you trade Perry Eliano for Matt Guerrieri, when you trade Corey Dennis for Bill O'Brien, and potentially Parker Fleming for James Laurinaitis. I mean, it's hard not to get excited about the Ohio State staff, and it's hard not to get excited about viewing these as clear upgrades in every regard. So, yeah, I think coaching jobs right now are interesting. College, I mean, you've got the Hafley to Green Bay move right now as a defense. So you've got a college head coach leaving college to become a NFL defensive coordinator. And it just, to me, it's a cautionary tale. It tells you how difficult these college jobs are becoming right now, that a coach would be willing to do that, be wanting to do that, because the college job has fundamentally changed with NIL right now. It's your recruiting is going on 365 days a year. You're not only recruiting your future team, but you're recruiting and having to keep re-recruit your current team, as well as poaching from other teams, on top of fundraising at a massive level that you've never had to do before. I mean, Urban Meyer, Jim Tressel, John Cooper, Woody, nobody had to face any of the things that we're talking about, the modern coaches are facing. So, as a fan of Ohio State football, and as a fan of winning and continuity, man, I'm telling you, we better count our lucky blessings, lucky stars that we have Ryan Day. Let's hope we keep Ryan Day for a long time, because these college jobs are becoming tough duty. And I'm not trying to wish anything or throw him out the door or anything, but I'm just going to be thankful for every season we have him, because NFL jobs are looking better for college coaches, and that's starting today.
Yeah, and the hardest thing is like when you deal with coaching is inevitably you're gonna have to fire somebody. You're gonna have to move on from somebody, and some guys have strings attached. Like I mean, obviously, Urban Meyer is Corey Dennis's father-in-law, so I think that's why he was extended, an administrative position or whatever they're going to give him, an analyst position, an off the field coaching role, where guys like Parker Fleming and Perry Eliano were basically told, "Hey, it's been real, it's been fun, but it hasn't been real fun." But I just think Corey's a guy that probably feels like he can look at his resume and say, I've put CJ Stroud in the league. Regardless of what people say, Ryan Day developed him, whatever. Corey was a quarterbacks coach, and he coached CJ Stroud, who's in the Pro Bowl as a rookie. So that's at the top of his resume. Justin Fields. So, I think with Corey, I get it. Again, it's kind of a slap in the face to stay in the same building and get demoted. Frankly, it's there's new guys coming in. A lot of guys are going to get raises just because that's what they do at Ohio State. They give guys bumps every year, and you're going to be in that same building, and you're going to be getting a pretty nice haircut on your deal. And again, I think that like with Jim Harbaugh, when Jim Harbaugh had to take a 50% pay cut on his salary, I just don't think he was ever the same. So I think that when he got the opportunity to go to the league, he was out, and obviously with the sanctions coming, and I think that he knew that the house of cards was going to fall down for the last couple of years, and that's why he's been interviewing with the Vikings and the Broncos and whatever. So it's really interesting. And the other big piece is James Laurinaitis. James Laurinaitis is a guy. At this point, I would be shocked if he's not promoted to be the 10th coach. He is the linebackers coach de facto. He's kind of like a super GA because I told you guys, and I'm very honest. Like when I was at Ohio State, like they paid us like 17,000 a year to be GA. He makes 200 grand, so he makes more money than Zach Smith did in 2012 and 2013 as a full time wide receivers coach. So he's not scraping by, but I think he wants to start progressing in his career. I mean, again, he's 37. I was 26, fresh out of the NFL, so I wasn't eating ramen. I was living fine. I had a house and whatever. And most GAs are living in like little tiny apartments with no cable and eating peanut butter out of the jar, but I wasn't that. But I think that James is, he's getting put through the ringer right now. I mean, if you look at it where he's recruiting at, and he's in Dallas, then he's in LA, then he's back in Ohio, then he's back in Dallas, then he's back in LA. I mean, he is just stacking miles up right now, just by where he's at every day. Like I said, he was in Dallas. And again, recruiting when you're a position coach or when you're James and you're GA, like you're not flying on the private jet like Ryan Day is. You're flying middle seat, Southwest Airlines, American Airlines, whatever. And it's a grind. I mean, I remember when I was done coaching in 2012, and it was like January. It was whenever the Under Armour All American game was. I don't know if that was like before New Year's. It probably was before New Year's, but it was like the Under Armour All American game. I was on a flight. I was going on a vacation, and I remember seeing Mike Vrabel, Everett Withers, and one of the other coaches on Southwest, and they were like C60. And Vrabel said, "Screw that! I'm getting a pre-board," and he like ran in front of everybody and got on the plane first. But I don't blame him. I mean, he's a 6'6" dude. Like you don't want to be sitting in the middle seat in the last row. But that's kind of what it is. I mean, these guys, recruiting. I mean, everybody wants to be a coach, but man, that recruiting drives a lot of these guys to the NFL because it does suck. I mean, you're living in a hotel for basically month over month, and it's the worst part of college football is recruiting because you have to really get to know kids, and they might pull the rug out from under you at the last minute because now they can get bought. But at this point, I don't think that the secondary D line coach makes sense. And then like the other rumor is that there might be a special teams coach. That would shock me if they for some reason thought they were going to placate James and have him be he's an Ohio State guy and he's a GA and he's making 200 grand. Let's just keep him as a GA for one more year and see how it goes. Like I don't know how that would play with James. I don't know how it would play with me. I'd be like, dude, I'm looking at Steve Spagnuolo and some of my NFL guys and say, hey, can you find a spot for me somewhere? Can I be your linebackers coach and progress my career? Because until you have an official title and you officially have a room and you sign your name to it with the pen, none of it matters. So, I mean, James wants to be the linebacker coach. He already is the linebackers coach. And he does a great job at it. And I think that this is going to be a big spring for him, especially if they move Sonny Styles down. But he's got to get CJ Hicks going. I mean, we saw CJ Hicks at Cotton Bowl, and that wasn't 5-star superstar quality film when we watch it. We're very honest on this podcast. I know that a lot of people want to see CJ Hicks, but there's probably a reason why he didn't play much. And again, some of these guys, if they don't want to do what Jim Knowles wants them to do, they're going to stand next to Jim Knowles during the game and watch, or they're going to stand next to the coaches down the field. I know Jim Knowles is up in the box, but Nevada, where are you at with James Laurinaitis right now? Because I think it's going to be really interesting to see the timing of this. I know Corey's contract is expiring, so that makes a lot of sense if they announce it in the next week. Because they got to get into winter conditioning pretty soon, and these coaches hit a dead period where they'll be off the road, and they'll be able to get rolling with winter conditioning and mat drills. And you want to have that 10th coach named by then.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've always thought that James is going to be the 10th coach. I fully still expect James to be the 10th coach. Having said that, I know Ryan Day is still looking at other names. I know he's talking to other people. I've got this from agents. And you mentioned this whole special team, thing, which is kind of interesting because there was a thing going through the agent community that he's looking at like a special team specialist from the NFL as a potential 10th coach. And, maybe they're looking at James and they kind of feel like, hey, look, he's not going anywhere. He's in
Mhm.
Columbus. His family's here. Yeah, let's keep this thing up. He'll keep going on this, and he'll hang around for one more year. And maybe they're. I'm not saying take advantage of that, but they're just kind of reading the room. Now, I think that would be a mistake, and I think at the end of the day, I think this is Laurinaitis, but it's going to be interesting to see how it. They are certainly working him like a 10th coach right now. Like as you said, he is everywhere and on the road and doing his thing. And maybe this was just like hell week for during the Navy SEALs, where they're just going to try to throw him out there as much as possible and see if he'll squeal or break or complain or whatever it is about it. But James is a warrior, so again, betting. I'm a betting man. You know that I love to bet on everything. I'm a degenerate gambler. I
Mhm.
would bet that James Laurinaitis will be named the 10th coach within the next 7 days. I'll say he'll be named the 10th head coach, but it's not a lock. I mean, I'll put the odds at like minus 250 or something like that. But the field's still live on this thing, and it still could go another way. But I think it's Laurinaitis, and I think that I mean, the day that is announced, I'm going to be ecstatic because I just feel like he is a superstar on the defensive side, the way that Brian Hartline is a superstar on the offensive side. And I think the difference will be palpable. So I'm excited about it. Hasn't happened yet, but I fully expect it to happen.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good shot of goodwill for Ryan Day. I think Ryan, again, like it's Ryan's choice. Again, he's all in. I mean, he got Bill O'Brien. I mean, he's loaded for bear. He went crazy in NIL, which is great. It was hilarious because Paul Feinbaum said he compared us to like the '97 Marlins, where we were doing all these quick fixes. I'm like, dude, like, who's not going to take the guys that we took? I mean, Bama would take all those guys. Georgia would take. They all wanted all these guys. So again, it's funny when you have massive success in NIL, the kind of things that come at you. But I think with James, when he gets named the 10th coach, and I expect that to happen, it'll be a big shot of goodwill for Buckeye Nation, for the alumni, for former players. James is one of the few. I mean, I think he is a spectacular person, a great player, and I think he'll do incredible work as a coach because the kid works incredibly hard. All he does is grind. And that's what he was like when he played. He was never given anything. He's a 3-star kid from Wayzata, and nobody knew who he was when he showed up. And he played over guys that were way higher rated than he was. And when Bobby Carpenter got his leg broken half by Jake Long, they put James in, and James played, and he played, not as much as you'd think because we were nickel a lot, but he was out there. He was the guy they put in when we had the big three of Schlegel, Hawk, and Carpenter. When one of those guys went down, James was the kid that went in, and that was something I'll never forget. Um, I got some super chats. Nevada, Will 8282, appreciate you, my man. Uh, Marymount, Ohio. Any news on Michigan, Nevada?
No, right now, here's what I can tell you: the big four guys have all kind of engaged representatives that are out, kind of chasing down, I'll say, offers, opportunities, kind of checking out the field, just the way that Caleb Downs did during his time, just the way that Quinshawn did. And so those guys are, kind of checking things out. And I expect something on that to break one way or another here within the next few days, because it's not going to go on much longer than that. I think they've gathered enough information to know kind of what their market is, what their opportunities are, what their options are. And so from a player standpoint, I think that's just going to happen. I think that'll all be happening here shortly. From a Michigan sanction side, nothing really has happened. We're still in that March April timeframe for the second letter of allegations that should be hitting on Michigan, around that time. And the one thing that keeps scanning, this is be something that you guys, your little internet sleuths, be doing, is just keep looking for anything on that Weiss investigation, and if they start wrapping that thing up, because that's the next tranche of, you've got the 50 hours of practice film, you've got the gambling cookies, you've got the other things that are coming off of Weiss's computer. That's all now subject to an FBI investigation, to a state police investigation. So once that thing breaks, once they bring those charges, that evidence will start getting loosened out there, and that should amp things up as well. So those will be two gating items to keep an eye on.
Yeah, absolutely. Sergio, this is great too. Kirk, where are you? Interesting shadow around you. Yeah, I had to get a new green screen. It's coming. I apologize. I have a temporary green screen that is not great, so I apologize. It looks like trash, so I apologize for that. I might just throw it out the window for the next show. Um, Robert Conover, what do you think are the top three critical needs that can be filled via the portal, whether a starter or a reserve? Tackle is obviously a huge one. They got to figure out what they're going to do with Josh Fryer. We need another defensive tackle that can play. Um, and God, like a tight end would be great. I mean, I'd say a tackle, a tight end, and a D tackle are the spots where I lose the most sleep, and I think you could upgrade the most. That tight end room has me scared to death right now, just because I don't know if any of those guys are great. And I think that Jelani Thurman has to really get his act together and really get grinding. Again, like, some of these kids are freshmen and they gotta, get the itch done. But I mean, it's go time. Like, we need Jelani to play this year. And we got G Scott, we got the Casimir kid, but we don't have a kid like Cade, or like a Nick Vanette or a Hireman, or like a big time, like mid round NFL type tight end. So the tight end spot really has me nervous. But again, we don't really use tight ends other than to block on occasion. So we'll see how it goes. Nevada, what are three spots that you want filled in the portal?
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the big three, but an underrated one would be place kicker, punter. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
those positions never matter until they matter. And so,
Yeah.
would I love to get a guy that was, automatic from 50? It's kind of like the way the Dallas Cowboys are now. Dallas Cowboys went out and they find that kicker from the XFL, soccer player, and he's kicking 60-yard field goals, and like, he doesn't miss. So, I mean, every time that we go to kick, it's like an adventure for us. So I wouldn't mind filling some of those underrated positions with a proven, veteran. And because, look, the last 2 years, we lost the national championship 2 years ago because we couldn't execute a field goal. And last year, missing that field goal against Michigan at the end, they hit their field goals, we missed ours, lost the game. So they can make a difference.
Yeah, I totally agree. T-Bug, thank you for the five. If you have a question, throw that in the chat. Oh, here's your question. Got a question next. Thank you for the deuce, T-Bug. How long before Chris Holtman is replaced? Well, I don't know. It's a weird situation right now because we're just so bad. Um, it's crazy how bad we're at basketball. I never thought we'd be this bad at basketball, but it's really interesting. Like, it's weird because Gene's the lame duck. He's out of here in June or July, beginning of July, whenever it is. And then you got the new guy, Ross Bjork, who's not really here right now. So, does Gene feel like it's his need to whack Chris Holtman on his way out the door, or does he really care, or does he want to let Ross Bjork make the call? Because the hard part, like for Gene, is like, if he whacks the guy, what does he get around the search for the next coach, or is Ross Bjork, or that's like kind of when you're in the situation where the team is floundering and you've got a lame duck AD and you have the new AD who's not here yet, but I know he's on a retainer with, they're paying him 200 grand a month or whatever to consult or whatever. But it's going to be an interesting hire. I mean, that buyout's pretty good sized, and but again, like you see, these videos on Twitter of how empty the Schottenstein Center is, and it's crazy because I mean and again, I was at Ohio State when the dinosaurs roamed the earth in the mid 2000s, '06, '07, but like that place used to be completely sold out. I mean, when we had Greg Oden, then we had Evan Turner, like during Thad, when Thad was really good, I mean, that place was packed. And now you look at it and it's like, 30% capacity. It's crazy. Um, what are your thoughts on that, Nevada? Do you think he's going to get replaced sooner, later? What's your thought?
Well, I know that there's conversations going on between Ross Bjork and Gene Smith about this issue. Obviously, as you pointed out, Gene Smith's on his way out, but Ross, this isn't lost on him that this is going to have to be his first order of business, and they're scouring, they're looking, but I would expect this to come down soon after the season. That obviously they're not going to do it at this point in time. It doesn't really serve any purpose. But after the season, when all the candidates are available, because again, you think about it, you do this now, you know, guys aren't available. Guys aren't leaving their team now to come jump over there. But this will be the first move from Ross. It's not lost on him, and I think Holtman's beyond saving at this point, and I think they know that.
Yeah, it's again, like I don't know how you can re-energize the fan base at this point. I mean, when there's a statistic like we haven't won a road game in literally a year, that's insane. Especially given the resources we have, the facility we have. I mean, again, I'm not, acting like we're a huge basketball school, but we've been at least competitive in the past, and it's just the wheels have fallen off the wagon, and something isn't registering with these players, and it's sad because like I hate when our basketball program is irrelevant, but kind of where we are now. We're probably going to miss the tournament again, and it's weird when there's 68 or whatever teams in the tournament, and we're not one of them. Like we're not one of the top 68 teams in the country. Like that seems insane when you're Ohio State. Will 8282. I feel like tight end is unproven, not Beck. Any targets in the portal? Well, I mean, we took Kazmarek, and he's kind of the best. I mean, the guy I want is Colson Loveland. If Colson Loveland hits the portal, I'd give him 1,500,000, a Range Rover, an apartment, furniture, whatever he wants. Because I mean that kid would be kind of the missing piece to give us the most complete offense I think we've ever had. And I don't know if there's a tackle out there that's of his level, but I don't know who that would be. But Colson Loveland, if he hits the portal, you got to remember he's from Idaho. He didn't grow up in Michigan, so he might have been a Michigan fan growing up, but like he's not like from Lapeer or Detroit or Ann Arbor. His dad didn't play there, so I think he'd be a guy that would be willing to jump ship because again, like it's a business decision. You see coaches switch teams, like you saw Bo Schembechler go up and coach Michigan. You saw Al Washington, Greg Madison come down Ohio State. You saw Justin Bourne. I mean, but it's a business move. I mean, Justin Bourne, best thing he ever did in his life was come to Ohio State because his company and his family's company went gangbusters, even more so than it already did because they really used the Ohio State thing, and they've got a big suite and they host people, and like it was really lucrative for Jacoby and Zach and Justin to all like play at Ohio State together. Um, Mello 7, I think we got someone that needs to go. Kick Oliver Ellis and Frozen Etsy out of the chat. I'll get right on that. Nicholas Prakis, thank you for the 5. How long of a leash does Howard have at QB? Cal has a massive leash thanks to Devin's injury. Does the next guy get a shot, even if the O sputters? Um, I don't know. That's the $1 billion question right now is how good can Will Howard be in this offense? And if he isn't great, does Devin get a shot? How long is the leash? I mean, I felt like Kyle McCord had like a 50-mile long leash because Ryan was never going to pull him for Devin. So I don't know if Ryan likes Devin. I don't know what the deal is because there were times last year I was like, can we at least see Devin a little bit? But he'd only get these little spot actions, and he usually would play like trash because he'd play like 8 plays and be scared to death that if he makes a mistake, he's going to get pulled, and he would. But I don't know. I think the Will Howard and Devin Brown thing is going to be the story of spring. Because I think if Devin feels competitive, he might stick. If not, I'd expect him to hit the portal. Just me being realistic because that's what quarterbacks do. I mean, how many quarterbacks? I mean, if you want like something that's funny, look at the top 10 quarterbacks from the last 5 or 6 recruiting classes. See how many of them have portaled because it's an insanely high and astonishing number that these guys they take off, man. When they can't win the job as a sophomore, they're out skis, and this is kind of how it is because they're trying to go somewhere they can play because you don't have to play at Ohio State to make it to the NFL. Like you look at like Pat Mahomes played at Texas Tech, not Texas, Texas Tech. Josh Allen, Wyoming, like Brock Purdy, Iowa State. So I mean, even Jared Goff played at Cal. So like to me, I mean, Lamar Jackson played at Louisville. None of those guys played at powerhouse schools. and they're the best quarterbacks in the league right now. So, um, your thoughts, Nevada? Does Devin get a shot if the offense sputters in spring and then in the season?
I mean, it would have to sputter a lot. I mean, it would have to really, 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 really sputter. I think Ohio State is pretty much all in on Will Howard. They like him a lot. Ryan likes him a lot. The people that advise Ryan like him a lot. Bill O'Brien likes him a lot. So, I mean, I think short of injury, I would be shocked if it was much of a competition. Um, and that's again, it's not a knock on Devin. I just think it's just an acceptance of where Will is in his development right now. You just can't. There's nothing you can do to equate having 33 games or 39 games or whatever ungodly number of games and 4 years of experience that he's had. That's the biggest indicator of success for a quarterback in college is experience, and he's got it in abundance. And he didn't do it, playing in the MAC. He did it playing in the Big 12. So he's played real games against real teams, and I think they're pretty set and they're pretty excited about it. I don't think it's going to be a close competition. I think when we see Will play, we'll understand, why they brought him in, what the hubbub was about this, why they were willing to upset the quarterback room for him, because they like him a lot, and I think he's going to deliver in a big way for Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of has to, I mean, because he's kind of the guy that we picked and we paid, and when you pay these guys, I mean, you need them to get after it and contribute, and he, is either the NFL or Ohio State, and he picked Ohio State to develop. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see how spring goes, how conditioning goes, not just at the top, but in the middle of the depth chart. Does Devin Brown hold off, Lincoln Keenholz? Does he hold off Julian Sayin? Maybe Aaron Nolan. I don't know. I think Air's, got a lot to improve on compared to the other guys. But I'm really excited about Julian Sayin. Like that's the guy that I think is as much buzz as we've gotten this offseason. Obviously, Caleb Downs is already a bona fide superstar. Like Julian Sayin is like, I mean, he's a quarterback that could be an absolute monster for us. So he's Bill O'Brien's guy. Bill O'Brien's here. That's the guy that I'm just really really excited about to see as we go. Um, Getting stoked outdoors. I love the antlers. Um, Thanks for the 10. Hey guys, huge fan. I live in Utah with a bunch of Michigan fans. I feel so sorry for you. That is rough. Can you guys go into more detail in what the allegations are against them? Also, I love what Day is doing in the portal. Go Bucks. Nevada, do you want to go into the Michigan allegations a little bit more in depth? Because I think that that's the story of the offseason is, again, these Michigan guys are running for the hills. And, I think the players are going to, and they might not enter this first 30-day portal, but once the sanctions are announced in March, April, and they have that spring portal window, like, look out. I mean, last guy out, turn the lights off.
Yeah, I mean, basically, what you're staring at, and I'll use just an example of a current case so you can kind of understand the severity and where this falls in. Tennessee adjudicated a case with their coach with Pruitt, where he got a 6-year show cause, but they showed exemplary cooperation, so they avoided postseason bans despite a bunch of level one violations. Now, what you're hearing from the NCAA is they've come back on Tennessee for additional violations in a separate case, so now that pushes Tennessee into repeat offender status, and all the most draconian types of punishments are on the table for Tennessee. The reason I bring that up is because Michigan is currently in the response phase to a level one allegation for lying to the NCAA investigators by Harbaugh on what they're referring to as the cheeseburger incident. It wasn't about a cheeseburger. It was about lying, illegal contact outside the approved areas during COVID. And Jim Harbaugh lied about it. He lied to the investigators' face. So they're facing a level one investigation on that. Michigan had come to them and said, "Hey, let's combine this other investigation, this on-field scouting, electronic surveillance, advanced scouting, cheating one with that one. Make this one big investigation." And the NCAA said, "No, they're separate. We're doing them separate because this now triggers all the most draconian measures, because now Michigan is clearly a repeat offender with multiple level one infractions that are coming down on them within a 5-year period of time, but this is within a 1-year period of time. So that's what the current status of it is with Michigan and the NCAA. They're in the response phase to the first letter of allegation. They should receive the second letter of allegation in the March April timeframe, and they're going to get hit with lack of institutional control. They're going to get hit with repeat offender, and they're going to get hit with postseason bans and vacation of wins going backwards. So that's they're heading into a dark period of time right now for Michigan fans.
Yeah, and I also love what Ryan Day is doing in the portal. That was kind of the second part of your question. The foundation's gone crazy right now, and they're really doing great work. They're stockpiling cash and they're trying to make it unfair. Like that's the thing is they want to make it unfair where, when one of these stars, when Caleb Downs hits the portal, we've got to be ready to go. I mean, we've got to, you can't go try to scrape the money together. You have the money ready to go. And that was something that the foundation came through in a major way. So shout out to Brian Schottenstein, Bill Lewis at the foundation because that was humongous. Because again, Caleb Downs, he literally has a deal where he can only deal with the foundation. That was 100% them. And I just think that, you know, from a cachet standpoint, he's maybe the biggest NIL deal that we've had. Just because, that was one, I said it yesterday, shockwaves around college football. When you pull a kid who's from the South, he's a superstar, and you pull him to the North, to Ohio State, I think it opens a lot of these guys' eyes. Because, when a lot of really good players start going somewhere, all these other guys are like, man, maybe I should check those guys out. That's kind of what's been going on in the wide receiver room with the South Florida Express kids. Because we're going to get Jamie French, we're going to get a lot of these really good these South Florida kids because J.J. Smith loves it up here. Brandon Ennis loves it up here. Carnell Tate, they love it up here, and that's something that there's momentum that's tangible when players are your best recruiters. Because our players are our best recruiters right now, and that's something that you can't ever take for granted. Ohio 7715, appreciate you, brother. Will Bob force more rotation in the wide receiver room and other positions on offense? That's a great question. I feel like we need to make a big change on our rotation schedule this season. We have more games and need an experienced depth chart. Does defense rotate more? OH, Nevada.
IO.
Perfect. I think that the rotation is a two-part question. I think it's the coaching preference, but I also think the players have to force the rotation. You can't just say, okay, I'm going to play six receivers. But if you only got four that you trust that are any good, then how are you going to play six? But I think that the way these seasons are getting long, man, you got to give these guys some breaks. You got to save their legs. I know that they're thoroughbreds and they can run all day, but the thing that annoys me with when I watch our film is like, we have guys like Marvin, guys like Emeka, guys that are made men. They're going to be top 15, 10, 5 picks in the NFL draft. When we run running plays, those guys basically take those plays off. They just stand there. They don't really do anything. They don't get their nails dirty. So I'd put like, if I'm Brian Hartline, I'm like, dude, and I'm not saying do it every time, but if you're gonna run the ball, if it's grind time, put Ennis in there. He'll go crack somebody's skull. Go put Tate in there. Go put J.J. Smith. Like, dude, go earn your strips. I mean, Brian Hartline earned his strips on special teams at both Ohio State and with the Miami Dolphins, running down on kickoff, killing guys. That's how you earn your stripes. Go crack somebody. I know that none of these receivers sign up to block, but when you block, you earn respect because then you get explosive runs. If you're the guy that has the key block on a free safety and Trey Henderson goes for 75 yards, then that's something that Ryan Day will show in the team room on Sunday. He'll say, look at this effort from Brandon Ennis clearing out the safety so that, when you get loose, because again, our explosive runs suck right now. And a lot of it's because our perimeter blocking, and that's our tight ends and our wide receivers, they're just disinterested. It's not like they can't do it. It's not like they physically can't do it. They're just disinterested, and that's allowed. And that's an issue. And again, I'm telling you, if you want explosive runs, you got to it's like knocking down bowling pins. You got to knock down the safeties. You got to go get the corner, whoever's the last line of defense. If you can knock that guy out, then all of a sudden, wow, here comes the explosive gains, the big yards, the big days. So, and again, like these young guys, like JJ and Ennis, like let those guys get a letter. Go let them get in there and go knock some heads off. Because if Emeka doesn't want to do it, or some of these other guys don't want to do it, put them young bucks in there. Because if they get hurt blocking, they still got 2 more years of eligibility and they'll be fine. Nevada, your thoughts on the rotation? Will it change? What would you do?
Well, the rotation thing is a Ryan Day thing. It's a directive from Ryan Day to to guys on the offense. So that you've seen it on the offensive side when we're up 50-0, and he does not rotate guys in. He wants to play his best players in these best games, and that's what he's directing them to do. And I thought that I thought the rotations last year cost us big time. Certainly on the defensive side, we've talked ad nauseum about Jack Sawyer and JT playing every snap. We've never seen that before at any level of football being done before, and I thought it was crazy. Offensively the same thing. But I think the poster brings up the great point of this schedule now. It's not only extended, but it's deeper. And when I mean deeper, I'm talking about quality games than we've ever had before. We've talked about this. It's Michigan. It's 1 versus 2 in the Big Ten now, not East West, not leaders legends, and then potentially 3 playoff games against a quality opponent every time. So just the end of the schedule is 5 murders row, 5 games in a row. So you better be fresh, you better be healthy, you better be rotating guys. And I hope Ryan has learned his lesson. Ryan's a smart guy. He's a brilliant man to ascended to the throne of Ohio State football at such a young age. But last year that was at his directive, and it didn't work. I understand the idea. You trust the first guys, you don't trust the second guys as much. But I think at this point, it's incumbent upon him to get those guys ready to go and go with it. Anything I'd say is just going to be a guess, but I would hope that he learned from last year and that our rotations are a little bit more robust this year.
Yeah, I totally agree. Kunal Redtell, thank you for the 10. Appreciate you. Love the show. It's been great watching it. I want to win a national title, but I don't want those FKS up north. I know I'm supposed to say there. Let them live with the sanctions and keep them off our team. OHIO. I disagree. And again, you can call me a turncoat, call me Benedict Arnold. I don't care. If I can get Colson Loveland, and that helps us beat Georgia or Texas or whoever we're going to see in the final matchup, like I'm good with that because this team has enough talent to win a national championship. But I'm always about making it unfair. Any way I can make it unfair, let's make it unfair. Like if we can get one of those D tackles to come here, take them. Get the tight end, take them. That's just me though. Again, and again, I totally get the and I respect that position. Like, I don't want those Michigan guys, but like if this would have happened when I played and like Jake Long and Mario Manningham wanted to come to Ohio State, I'd be like, bring them on. That'd be great. Let's go. I mean, take it all. Lamar Woodley wants to come. Come on down, bro. Let's go. Let's go. I'd rather see you on my team than go against you because you're a good player. So that's just my opinion. Again, I could be nuts, but that was part of the fun part with recruiting is a lot of guys that you go against in high school might have played against in an all-star game. They become your teammates. So then you get to be on the same team, and guys that you go against in practice that are really difficult to go against, all of a sudden on Saturday, you're actually on the real team. Because the funny thing about when you play football is you don't really feel like you're on the same team until game day because like there's like an offense and there's a defense and you guys go at each other and try to kill each other all week. So then all of a sudden when it's Saturday, then you're like, oh, we're actually like a real team. But like during the week, it's like you're trying to kill each other, and again, you're in the same locker room, you're homies and whatever. But one side, when you walk off the field during a football practice at Ohio State or anywhere in the world, one side of the ball feels good, one side of the ball feels like crap. As the offense dominates the defense, then the defense is going to get reamed by the D coordinator and it's going to be ugly in film and whatever. And then the vice versa. If the defense stuffs the offense, then all of a sudden, like, what are you going to do? Josh Rubido, appreciate you. Thank you for the 5. We're going to watch Hot to Trot with my girl Nikki and me. Want to watch Hot to Trot. Do not know what that means, but Nevada, do you know what that means? Hot to Trot.
I don't, but that sounds provocative. I think you were just
Sounds
invited to something,
interesting.
but
Do
yeah,
I, do I
sounds
need to
interesting.
Google? Do I need to Google what hot to trot is? I'm scared. I mean, this is going to be like I don't know if this is going to be like
Yeah,
bad or good
I
or
I think
you know.
it's bad. But while you're
Yeah,
googling on the Google machine, I want to throw a name out at you just to keep an eye on for Boston College. Okay, Ozzy Trapillo, offensive lineman, offensive tackle, redshirt junior, 6'8", 313 pounds. Just a name to keep an eye on for Ohio. I know tackle is the top of your wish list for Ohio State. Well, a really good one just became available. So Ozzy Trapillo, keep an eye out for that name.
yeah, yeah. Thank you, Uncle Buck. Appreciate you, brother. Will 8282, thanks for the deuce. Frozen and Oliver are false accusing me. So okay, those are guys I got to get on the chat. So I'll get on that. Pooh Beard, thank you for the 10. Appreciate you. Tennessee, Virginia attorney generals are suing the NCAA about antitrust slash NIL. This is obviously different from scum on field cheating, but if the NCAA loses clout, could affect their ability to enforce scum punishments. Um, I don't think so. I mean, I think that it's interesting what they're going after, but that thing's going to take a long time to go. Nevada, your thoughts on what's going on with Tennessee and Virginia, and the attorney generals?
Well, that's strictly about NIL. This is not, Michigan's not being hit for NIL violations. They're not being hit for ambiguous rules, or they're not being hit for a collective using a private plane. That's not what they're being hit for. Their first one is clear. It was Harbaugh lied to the NCAA, and the second one, it was they were involved in a multi-year uh, on-field cheating scandal of the likes that none of us have ever seen before at any level. So I don't think that the attorney general's stuff in Virginia or Tennessee will have any impact on this at all. If anything, it'll just kind of embolden the NCAA more to really put the hammer down on Michigan. Because the NCAA, I've been saying this over and over and over again. They are seeking legitimacy in this new crazy world right now, and maybe even that maybe these NIL cases aren't the tightest things, and maybe they're going to get fought from these attorney generals. But this Michigan one, dude, this is an open and shut case. I mean, there's no defense. It's clearly against the rules. It's egregious. It involves the entire staff. It goes up and down the organization. And to contrast that with Tennessee, where they were described as using exemplary consideration, they fired the coach immediately. They cooperated. They opened all their files. Michigan's been stonewalling the NCAA since day one of this, threatening with legal action and actually lauding the coaches for the cheating. So Michigan is going to get hammered. And when it happens, I don't want people to go, oh, I'm so surprised, because I told you this was going to happen. This is going to happen. And if you're a Michigan fan and you're saying it's not, you're just being delusional.
Yeah, I mean they're gonna get smoked. I mean that's why Jim. I mean all these guys are leaving. Like Jim Harbaugh's leaving again. They just went 15-0. They're on the verge of building a potential dynasty, and everyone left. Nobody wants to be there now, and I think that Sean Moore is taking a lottery ticket, which is fine, but they're gonna get hammered again. Like the people that don't think they're gonna get hammered, I'm like, what do you guys? What do you guys pay attention to anything? With the way the NCAA works, like you got to pay attention, folks, because these guys don't play around, and again they take their time, they're diligent. But what Connor Steins did, and again, just look at the facts. When Chris Partridge, the linebacker coach, just is fired on like a random Friday, like that doesn't like raise an eyebrow to you. The one coach deletes all of his tweets magically. These guys are trying to hide everything, and again, we only know what's been leaked and what's been reported at a surface level. Like we don't know what these guys have found, because again, these guys are going to dig deep, and it's not cooperating is absolutely crazy. Sean Cricket, thank you for the 5. Appreciate you, brother. I've been waiting on this one. I've been waiting on this one. This is a good one. If Vrabel doesn't get his last open NFL job, any chance OSU gauges interest in an advisory or analyst role for a year? I don't think so. I just don't think Vrabes wants to be an analyst when he's made a fortune and he's been an NFL head coach. Now, I could be dead wrong. I mean, maybe he shows up to the Woody tomorrow, but he's got a lot of money. He's worked really hard. His son plays for the Falcons now. Actually got some games this year, which is great. Um, but I just, like I think at a minimum, he wants to at least be a defensive coordinator in the National Football League. I don't think the college grind is appealing to Rich. It's not because he's not a worker. I mean, he's a tireless, insane worker. But I just, like, I mean, some of these guys, they work so hard, and, to take a year off. I mean, he's still getting paid, I believe. Like, I mean, they fired him. It wasn't like his contract ran out. So, I'm honestly shocked that he didn't get a job. I mean, he was the coach of the year like 3 years ago. So, I mean, like, I don't know what happened in Tennessee. The rumor was that he said something at the Ring of Honor ceremony at Foxborough that upset Amy Adams, the lady that runs the Titans, and I don't know, but it's like Vrabes, he's a great coach. I mean, dude, if you're a coach of the year in the NFL as like a second or third year head coach, like and he's young. I mean, he's not some old timer. And again, I was shocked he didn't get the Patriots job. I was shocked that I mean, the Falcons, like I don't know how you take Raheem Morris over Mike Vrabel given their track records, but again, and I also, and again, this might maybe being crazy, but I think the one thing that hurts Rabes is there is such a push to get that next offensive mastermind guru as your head coach. Like I mean, when you hire the offensive coordinator from the Buccaneers as the head coach of the Panthers, it's strictly because you got to develop Bryce Young. I mean, you gave up a king's ransom to get the kid, gave up DJ Moore, gave up 2 first-round picks. Like you got to get something out of that kid because he was a corpse this year, and if you don't develop him, he's going to be a corpse next year. So like I think that Vraves is undefeated in some things, but I take him over Raheem Morris. I mean, even in Seattle, like I mean, they hired the kid that was at Michigan 3 years ago. Today he's 36 years old, and I just think that whoa, and you got Mike Vrabel sitting there. But again, that's just my opinion. Nevada, your thoughts on Vraves? Is there any chance he would come back and work for Ohio State this year?
I think there's a chance. I don't think it's crazy, because again, those guys, if you don't have the job, you want at least to have something. They're all afraid of being back in the house, and stuck in there. They're addicted to being on the road and being out and having free time. And no matter what they say, they all are. So that's why these guys all work until they die, and then they toss them in the ground. So I don't think it's crazy talk that would happen. But look, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of people that would be interested in him. In the NFL, there's some broadcast opportunities. There's lots of different things with Mike Vrabel that could yet to be played out. But if none of that panned out, could I see it happen for a year at Ohio State? Sure. I don't think it's crazy.
Yeah, and there's still movement. Like again, like a lot of these coaches are still filling their staffs out. Like Atlanta is, Seattle is. So again, nobody saw Jeff Hafley leaving Boston College to be a coordinator in the NFL, but that is kind of the road to being a head coach. Like the kid from Michigan who's 36 years old, literally left Michigan 3 years ago, went to Jay Harbaugh, was there for 2 years, and now he's an NFL head coach. Like I'm sure, Jeff Hafley in his career arc is probably believing that if I'm a coordinator for the Packers, and the Packers have good players on defense, like that's like a team that's very much on the rise. Obviously, as you know way better than I do, Nevada. But if you really want to get to that point where you're considered as an NFL head coach or maybe a head coach at a more prominent job, like I think you have to get out of Boston College. Boston College is a terrible job, because you've got the same kind of academic requirements as Notre Dame, but you don't have anywhere near the prestige, and then you still got to go play Clemson and Florida State and Miami and these other teams in the ACC that, frankly, are just way better than you every single year. Duke, I mean, even Duke's actually pretty good. NC State. So, like Jeff Hafley was probably on the verge of getting fired. So, if somebody wants to throw him a bone and make him a DC in the NFL, it's kind of like a fresh start. And I think that being a coordinator in the NFL, if you're in the right situation, is a better jump off point than it is to be a head coach at a lower tier program like Boston College. And again, that's just my opinion, but I just kind of I follow the coaching carousel. Like, where did this guy come from? Oh, he was a coordinator in college. Like the guy from Michigan, coordinator at Michigan, coordinator at Ravens. Now he's the head coach of the Seahawks. He's 36 years old, which is crazy. And again, maybe he's great, maybe he's not. I don't know. But I think it's a good move for Jeff Hafley. But again, it's just that's the kind of the intriguing thing is like you mentioned, there's a tackle there that we should look at, and I haven't seen any film on him. This move just happened a few hours ago, but it'll be interesting to see if some of these guys go looking for greener pastures because they've had good players. I mean, that Zay Flowers, he was a first round pick for the Ravens. Like they've had some dudes. So even Tyler Vrabel's playing for the Falcons. I mean, he played. I don't know if he started, but he was in some games at the end of the season. So that's a guy that maybe could have helped us at Ohio State. Um, Nevada, your thoughts on Vrabes, and let me see. Let me get this next one. Larry Daniels, one. Thank you for the 5. When's the scoop gear coming, Burke? When do natty odds come out in Vegas, Nevada? I need to bet the Bucks. Well, we used to do a lot of gear drops, and I know we got to get back into it. It's totally my fault. Frankly, it's not. It's more about giving you guys the ability to wear our gear because we keep the prices low for the folks. Like we're not trying. Like we don't make much money on gear. We keep the prices fair. Obviously, the cost of everything is expensive now. Shipping is crazy. Um, but we did it a few times. We literally basically don't make any money doing it. But we need to get you guys some good shirts. In the chat, tell me what brands you guys like because I usually do Nike just because Ohio State is a Nike school. Everybody has owned a Nike T-shirt before, so you kind of know the sizes because some of the sizes, if you get a Reebok or an Under Armour or a Nike or an Adidas, the sizes can actually vary pretty decently. So Nike's pretty consistent, but then I don't want don't give any political stuff, because I know people say, "Oh, I'm not going to wear this brand or that brand because of this or that." But I pick Nike because it's the Nike school. But I'm open to Carhartt, Champion. You guys put in the chat what you guys want, and I'll get a shop built, and we'll run it for a few weeks and get it shipped out to you guys. Now, the thing is like, we usually do a couple simple items. We do like a t-shirt, a hoodie, and a hat. Um, all the same color, and we'll get this printed out. So, but again, if you guys have anything that you want, put it in the chat. We might do flags. Again, we got a really nice deal with Buffalo Wild Wings, local franchise group in Columbus. Really, really excited about it. So you're going to see us a lot in B-Dubs. Obviously, I get my B-Dubs cups all the time. Love B-Dubs. Love the Desert Heat Wings. They're bringing the quesadilla back, which is, thank God. If they bring back truffle sauce, I don't know what I'm going to do. But we're buying a bunch of flags to hang in. Most of the Buffalo Wild Wings in Columbus are really excited about that. But yeah, in the chat, let me know what you guys want. Because again, I usually do like a black shirt, black hoodie. But tell me what brands you want. Nevada, your thoughts on national championship odds and what kind of gear do you want other than your Nevada shirt?
Well, first of all, yeah, we love Buffalo Wild Wings. Shout out to Buffalo Wild Wings wherever you are. There's always a Buffalo Wild Wings near you, and you can enjoy it. So I know I will. As for the gear, yeah, I'm a big fan of the hoodies and the hats because that's what I wear a lot of is shirts, hoodies, and hats. That's pretty much exclusive attire for me. The odds on futures, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I've seen futures on college football. They come out pretty soon, so it wouldn't shock me. Now, if you're a real degenerate gambler, I literally laid money on this as we're sitting here on will Travis Kelsey propose to Taylor Swift post Super Bowl on the air. I bet no. I bet no at minus
There's no
two
way.
fifty, and that I know they're literally they're
Minus
taking action on I
250?
little minus 250.
I mean, there's no
They
way.
they're literally taking there's literally taking action on that. But that's how far I've spiraled into the abyss of gambling. So I'm betting on
That's
Travis
pretty bad.
Kelsey proposing to Taylor Swift during our podcast. I just want you to know that I'm never stopping, man.
Yeah, I mean, like she's such a flake. Like I don't think she'll ever get married. I mean, I think that like this is just going to turn into another, $100 million album and concert tour for her. Because I mean, she is. I mean, she's good at what she does, but I mean, she's had about 50 boyfriends in the last 10 years. And again, God bless her. Whatever. Herschel,
Well,
thanks for
yeah, but
this. Go ahead.
I figure. Look, well, hold on. First of all, there's a 50-50 chance they lose the game. If they lose the game, he's not proposing. So
Absolutely.
that I just figure I got a 50-50 odds on that. And then just the whole thing about proposing, I just think that seems so cliche. So yeah, I mean, you can bet that at
T-
minus 250 right now. So jump out to your local on your local sports app and bet that. But I'm betting Travis Kelsey not to propose to to Taylor Swift on the post game of the Super Bowl.
that's amazing. Herschel, thanks for the deuce. O'Brien, next head coach when Ryan goes to the NFL in 2 years. I don't think so. I don't. I don't know. I mean, again, it depends on how the offense goes. I think you do a good job. Like if there was some sort of some crazy situation happens, Ryan has an appendectomy and he can't coach or something, and they put Bill in as the head guy. I think he'd do great. Um, but I don't know. I think you do a national search. You go find whoever's the hottest guy you can get. Because again, like 2 years ago, I mean, even a year ago, nobody would have projected that Kalen DeBoer would take Nick Saban's job. There would have been about 100 guys you'd have named before that guy, but he's there now. So I think it's kind of whoever's the hot, the hot topic, the buzzy name at the time, and it'll be a big search. I mean, that's Ohio State's a top two job, top three job. I think it's us in Texas and Georgia are the best jobs because I think Georgia's just got the best in-state talent. But It'd be interesting, but again, I don't think Ryan's going anywhere. He's got a nice deal, and he likes it here. Mellow 7. Uh, Thanks for the 5, brother. Appreciate you. Just wanted to say this air is going to beat Julian out next season. Salute to you, Nevada and Tor, for holding it down every night. Appreciate you, Mello. You're on here every night. It'll be interesting. Air, he's got a lot of talent. I think he's got to, like a lot of these kids, they all got to grow up. A lot of these kids got to get to college and they got to figure out, that he's not at, Langston Hughes or wherever he played at. And I mean, it's a whole new animal up here, dude. It's a beast. Your thoughts on Air Nevada? What's his upside?
Upside is huge, but got to get it together. I mean, got to get it
Yep.
together. And we're not in the business of like dogging on kids or saying whatever, but he's he's not getting off to the greatest start at Ohio State right now. So
No.
he's got to get it together. And long way to go. The story hasn't been written by any stretch of the imagination, but he's got an immense amount of talent. Just worlds and worlds and worlds of talent. Just got to focus on the getting serious part of it.
Well, I just think that, you know, it's what I always tell people, and a lot of people laugh at me. This is why recruiting is the dumbest thing of all time. Because people they obsess over these star rankings and they obsess over, oh my God, look how good we're going to be because we got all these freshmen. And the guys like, let's let them get to college and see if they can handle college. Because college is hard, And again, a lot of you guys went to college and you're like, oh, Kirk, you're crazy, whatever. But like, NIL era, these kids get a pocket full of money. They move away from home for the first time. Um, some kids go crazy. They're chasing skirt, they're drugs, and that's not air. This is not anything that air has done. I've just seen it in person as a player and a coach. I've seen guys that, oh yeah, he's a can't miss, man. He gets here, man, and it's like, has he gone to class yet? No. Is he can he pass a drug test? No. And like I said, I saw my recruiting class in '03. Like half the guys were gone by spring football. So in like 8 months, like it was just disintegrated into thin air. So I don't know. And I just prove to me you can play college football. And again, that is why I love when we go break the bank to get Caleb Downs because that kid proved that he's a pro's pro. That's a kid that's a 3-and-out dude all day. He'll be a top 10 pick when he comes out, and he'll be a Pro Bowler in the NFL once he gets to the league because that's how he works. His eyes don't get too big. He acts like a coach. He works, and it's all he wants to. It's like JJ, like JJ Smith, Jeremiah Smith is like all he cares about is football. That's it. He's not going out at night. He's not a partier. He's a real quiet kid. And all he wants to do is play football. He wants to be on the Monarch machine. He wants to be the Jacks. He's like one of the guys who wants to be at the Woody Hayes at 11 p.m. catching more Monarch balls. The Monarch machine, you guys should Google it. It's the thing that they put it on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter, X, whatever, all the time. And you dial up, I want a 15-yard out route, and it'll literally shoot it right where you want it to go, like right with the timing of your route. So like Marvin killed it with that thing, but it's like the Jugs machine on steroids with artificial intelligence. Like it's an awesome machine, but these kids love it and they wear it out, and it's a great piece of equipment for Ohio State and for young receivers. Because again, the thing I'd always tell guys, like when we get young linemen or young players, I'm like, look, at Ohio State, they have everything you need to be good, like on your own. Like you don't need a coach out there to go get a little bit extra workout in the gym, to get extra treatment, to get a little more cold plunge, to get cryotherapy. Like it's insane what they have now to take care of their bodies and recover. Because the whole thing to getting good as a football player at Ohio State or any level is you have to work like crazy hard and you have to push yourself really hard, and then you have to recover just as hard. And that sounds stupid because people are like, oh, the recovery, I just lay on the couch and, eat a cheeseburger and, magically I feel better. No, like go get in the cold plunge, go get in the cryo, go get in the float tank, go get massages because they have all that there. And it's like, dude, like these guys can recover at a rate that is insane. And then they can go do another crazy hard workout and they keep stacking those. And that's something that we've gotten really good at Ohio State. And that's why I laugh when people say that Mick doesn't. I'm like, dude, like our program is insane right now. Pooh Beard 12, appreciate you, brother. Thanks for being an ultra member. Thanks for the deuce, Nevada. How do you like Hafley to the Pack as DC? Your thoughts, Nevada?
I'm excited about it. I'm excited about it for the Packers just because as a Packers fan, I love what LaFleur's done. I love how they've built this team, the youngest team in football, and they go on and win a playoff game to give San Francisco everything they want. And I think Hafley is a defensive guy, is really, really talented. So, I'm excited about it. But I'm equally excited about it because I do think it opens up Boston College for business right now. And as an Ohio State fan, we're in the market and they've got a couple of players that we should be looking at. And I'm sure they're doing that right now. But anytime one of these jobs opens, or guy leaves and it opens up, they don't, it doesn't need to be a great program. We don't need 50 guys on the program. We just need one. And one guy can help Ohio State get better. One guy could help Ohio State get over the top. So excited for him for the Packers, but excited that Boston College is on sale right now.
Yeah, it's good for us. And again, Bill Lewis and Brian Johnson raising a lot of money right now for the foundation. Chris, thank you for the five. Appreciate you, my man. Odds on Day going to the NFL in 3 to 4 years. Your thoughts, Nevada? By the way, I want that as a sticker. Your thoughts, Nevada? Do you think Ryan Day can go to the league in 3 to 4 years?
Man, I hate even saying it because I don't want to speak it into existence or something, but if I was putting the odds, I was putting the over under on Ryan Day at Ohio State. I'd probably put it at about 5 years, and I'd probably be leaning. I'd be shading the under on that. Um, but I hope I'm wrong. I hope he stays here forever. I hope he's the one of those rare birds that can do this. But I just worry that NIL in the new landscape of college football is just going to eat these guys up and spit them out, and the NFL is going to look increasingly attractive. But I sincerely hope that I'm wrong.
Well, I think that the thing about NIL is like we're getting really good at it. So it's really like it's becoming like a sniper rifle for us. It's really dangerous, and I think that that helps Ryan to stay here. Is that we have really a really formidable NIL, and we can go out and get Caleb Downs, and again, and we can maintain our roster. We can keep kids from going to the league that shouldn't be jumping into the league. So again, I don't fault anybody for wanting to chase the ultimate prize, which is a Super Bowl, like kind of like Jim Harbaugh said. But I think Ryan's got a good situation here. It's a totally different beast. You're a lot more transient when you're in the NFL because guys get fired every 2 3 years. Coaches get assistants change every year. College, you have more stability. Put down some roots. And again, this is a big year for Ryan. I mean, Ryan, if he cashes it in this year, he could get a big extension. But um, I'm glad that New England hired Gerard Mayo because that was the one I was worried about is if New England would came after him because, excuse me, they have to draft the quarterback top three. And if you're putting a gun to my head and saying, Kirk, who do you want to develop your quarterback? I'm saying Ryan Day. I mean, look who we did with CJ Stroud. Like CJ Stroud's a Pro Bowler rookie, greatest rookie season in NFL history for a rookie quarterback. That's the guy I want. So I'm not going to speak it into existence. And if I'm the athletic director at Ohio State, Ryan Day has the one trait that I want more than any other trait, and that's the ability to develop a quarterback. And again, it doesn't mean you got to recruit him. You can go get a guy in the portal like Will Howard or Justin Fields. Obviously, he did it with a waiver, but that's the thing that it just puts you over the top. Again, like that's where you look at the Super Bowl. Yeah, I know it's a tight spread, but man, like it's hard when you see Mahomes or Purdy. Man, it is hard to go against Pat Mahomes as good as he's been, and he's already got rings. Tora, you're the best, man. Seriously, Treasure of the Tour, it's been amazing getting to know you over the past month. Had a lot of conversations on the phone. I appreciate all you do for this channel. He is our official moderator. He's a straight dog. He gets rid of any trash on here. So, again, Tora, that is a thankless job because, Nevada and I are on camera. We're working, trying to run the show. So what you do is unbelievable. So we appreciate you being a huge part of the Scoop family. Thank you so much, my man. Thank you for the 100, Kirk. What's good, family? Love and respect always to you and Nevada Buck, and of course the Buckeye Scoop family in the chat with me, keeping it. Stay strapped, Buckeye Nation. Your boy Tora, and also stay golden. You forgot that part, Tora, my boy. But I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for all you do. It's been amazing getting to know you, Nevada. Any thoughts on our boy Tora, the king of the moderators?
Yeah, king of the moderators, first ballot Hall of Fame inductee here for the channel, and when I see him on the board, I just know that the board's going to stay straight. So that makes me happy. I was actually having to text Dagestan Poppy while we're in there to try to clean out some of the trash as well. But now that we have Tora and Dagestan, I think the chat should start returning to health. But Tora, you're the best. Looking forward to meeting you, and hope we make that happen soon.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate you so much. Will 8282, who has been late to classes and workouts? Well, I mean, we kind of dropped that earlier, but you guys can hit rewind. I don't know if we want to name names. Nevada, do you? Well, it's up to you.
Burt Carton, but that's not his real name. I'm just going to go with Burt Carton is the name that I keep
That's
hearing.
that's fair. That's the name that we keep hearing was
That's
late. Um,
yeah, yeah.
he was late. I stay late. PJ Studio, thank you for being a Scoop Ultra member. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for the 50. You talked about how Kevin Wilson being the adult in the offensive room when he was here. Why didn't Ryan give him the keys to the offense? His offense has scored lots of points elsewhere, wherever he landed. Possible alignment issues, trust, question mark. You know, it's interesting with Wilson, because he was an urban hire. And so, Ryan inherited him. And obviously Ryan, when you're first getting into coaching, I think that there's a part of you where you want to do everything. Like you want to call the plays, you want to run the game. Maybe it's because you think you can do both. Maybe you're like, well, running the game isn't that hard. Calling the plays is the hardest thing you can do on game day, being a play caller. Being a head coach is not particularly difficult, but I think Ryan at first thought he could do it. And I think as he went on, he figured out that he couldn't. And it just kind of got worse and worse. And I think that, with the promotion of Corey Dennis and Keenan Bailey, you got a couple really young guys that really haven't done much in their careers other than, they've worked at the Woody Hayes, but I mean, they haven't been outside of the program. They don't bring anywhere near the credentials of Bill O'Brien. And I'm sure they'd say the same thing, or even Kevin Wilson. But I think Ryan probably initially felt like he could do everything. And I think that, there's been times over the past couple of years where it's been glaring that he needs help, and maybe he just refused it at times. So it's one of those big questions, and I think that for him to do it, he really needed somebody that has done it at a high level that he could trust. It would be like, for instance, if you want to do like something really small on a micro level, like if I wanted to give up running this podcast, like I wouldn't just give it up to anybody, because like in a perfect world, I would just be the talent, have someone engineer everything, but I do everything. So I set everything up, I edit everything, do everything, and again, it I'm not going to give that up unless I know someone that really knows what they're doing, because I have a standard I want to meet. It's like it's driving me crazy that my green screen sucks and I got my new one coming. But, it's just one of those deals where, I'm not going to give it up and have the quality of the content and the show and what you guys expect diminish. So I mean, I think Ryan's kind of in that same boat. He's not going to give up calling the plays, and then all of a sudden, we go from 15th or 10th in the nation in offense to 60th, because again, with Brian Hartline, like I get promoting him to offensive coordinator, but like he's never called plays anywhere. It's not like he went to Kent State or Akron or Toledo or somewhere and was a play caller. Like he's never called a play in his life. So, in the boiler room that is the Big Ten season, coaching at Ohio State, like that's the gift and the curse to, Brian Hartline, when he went through the deal where, Zach gets dismissed and then Brian's sitting there and they promote him, it's hard because, Brian starts off at Ohio State. But the problem with that is like you start off at Ohio State. So you don't kind of come up the ranks learning how to call plays and learning on a smaller, easier stage, where you're calling plays at a max school or, a lower tier school. Like a lot of these guys, like Tom Herman was at, you know, like Sam Houston State and Rice, and he was at like 4 or 5 different stops before he got to Iowa State. And Iowa State still isn't huge before he got to Ohio State. So he had 10 years of play calling in games that basically nobody ever watched. So that's kind of what is the ideal, deal. Because like, if the problem, like if you're Brian, if Ryan Day hands you the play call, literally the first, last year, like his first year as OC, and Brian drives it off the cliff, then the fans hate him, the fans want to kill him, and then he gets probably publicly demoted, and like that's not good either, so. But the thing that's going to be interesting and something that's been different with Ryan being the head coach is that you know, in general, like if there's a bet that you want to lay money on, and a sportsbook would never take this action, you could lay a lot of money on the fact that usually the two most hated guys at Ohio State are the offensive and defensive coordinator. You go back to like Jim Bowman, you go back to Tom Herman, you go back to Tim Beck, you go back to Ed Warner. Um, People hate those guys, and we haven't had an offensive coordinator like a real one for a few years with Ryan being the head coach. So now it's going to be interesting to see, because people I feel like were doubly hard on Ryan because he was the OC and the head coach. But our coordinators get it bad, man. I mean, Fickle used to get it bad. Haycock used to get it bad. Um, Kerry Combs got it bad. Shiano in 18 got it bad. So it's going to be fascinating to watch. Does Ryan take less heat that he's got Bill O'Brien there, and does O'Brien take? I mean, obviously he's going to take heat just because that's the nature of the beast when you're at Ohio State. But what are your thoughts on that, Nevada? Because again, I love kind of thinking about these kind of new scenarios with a real offensive coordinator being in the room.
Well, it's going to change things, and I think it's the smart move for Ryan because, as you pointed out, I haven't heard anybody else talk about this, and I do think it's an underrated point. I mean, Bill O'Brien's going to take responsibility, and when things aren't going quite the way that that you want them to go, and inevitably that's going to happen at some point in the season. That's going to take the pressure off of Ryan. That's going to relieve him, and he's been everything. He's been the cook, bottle washer, and chauffeur, and everything else here for the offense. So I think he's going to. I think it's going to be one of those changes. Be so profound. He's going to wonder why it took him so long to do this, but. He came in as a play caller. He wanted to stay a play caller, but having an adult that could be the play caller, that can run the offense and allow you to be more the administrator, I think Ryan's going to feel like he got a new lease on life.
Yeah, I totally agree. So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. And again, this will be a great spring. And between the players, the new coaches, the new dynamics of the staff, it's going to be really fascinating. I mean, I assume James will be the 10th coach, so it's going to be really good. Well, Nevada, we got a really nice crowd in here. We appreciate you guys. You want to wrap this thing up?
Yeah, just appreciate everybody so much, man. Great show. Looking forward to the James Laurinaitis news. And again, keep on. Let's start going through that Boston College roster and see who else is available there. Um, because it's like shopping time. It's like we're shopping at Aldi right now, and you go by and you see like that industrial sized box of animal crackers or something, and you're like, I didn't even
Oh
know I
my
needed
gosh.
animal crackers, but they're selling like a 68 carton thing for like $14 or something like that. And you're like, man, I'm gonna buy that. So let's go see if who we can get on sale at Boston College.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. And I think it's gonna be one of those things where if we can add one or two more pieces from wherever, because again, I think there's still gonna be. I mean, you probably put good money on the fact there's gonna be another head coaching move because again, Seattle's gonna fill their roster out, and I've talked the roster of coaches. So there's probably gonna be more movement. It's kind of exciting every day because you just never know who's gonna jump into the portal. Well, we appreciate you guys as always. Thank you guys for kicking it with us. Again, great show. You guys make it a great show, so we appreciate you guys doing that with us. As always, uh, go to your local Buffalo Wild Wings, man. They are really hooking up Buckeye Scoop. That is our new home base, and we appreciate the partnership with Buffalo Wild Wings. They are awesome, awesome group. All through Columbus, great spots, great wings, cold beer. What's better than that? So I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. If you could leave us a like, those likes are huge. They help grow the channel. Also, click the subscribe button and click the little alert bell. Shout out where you guys are watching from, and also let me know who you watch the show with because it's always interesting. Because I always love seeing father son. Is it couples? Is it the kids running around? Because it's always just kind of cool to see the demographics. And where you guys watch from. Again, shout out to my Southern Ohio boys, always holding it down, holding Scoop down. I got to get down there to the river in Portsmouth. So my Galpless boys, appreciate you guys holding us down as always. I know we got a lot of Buckeyes down there, so thank you guys for your patronage and for watching these videos. We appreciate it. Again, I love the comments. So anything you guys want to write about, any gear that you want in the next gear drop, let me know what it is. Again, we usually got to get 10 things ordered. We've had stuff that people have wanted, and We don't get 10 of them ordered, so we can't print it. But we got to get at least 10 so we can get the screen printing done. So let me know. And again, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. Thank you, Scoop family. I'm going to talk to you guys tomorrow. You guys have a great rest of your night. Go Bucks.